Hello and welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Unfiltered and Functional. I'm your host, Mandy, and I am here once again with the lovely Sashi.
Hello.
Today's episode, I gotta jump right the fuck in and give a huge, giant, massive disclaimer because I think people might be a little excited about this episode, but we gotta do, the adult stuff first, which is this episode is purely for educational and entertainment purposes. Nothing that we are talking about today is medical advice. We are not diagnosing. We're not telling you how to do anything or live your life or that you should do something or shouldn't do something. We're going to be talking about Reta. I'm not even going to use the full name because I don't even know if like SEOs will go crazy about that, or we could just call it R3. But it has become more and more popular. And I think that's a huge part of that has to do with social media for sure. We are just going to be kind of talking about a little bit of the science, what we're kind of seeing in the fitness industry, and sharing a very small portion of our own personal experiences.
I like it.
Yeah. Because I'm sure, Sash, you've also heard a lot of people recently talking about this compound.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like you can't go anywhere right now without hearing about it. Like, not even just online, but like in the world.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
the new hot topic,
Yeah, essentially.
which I'm
It
not against. I just feel like people aren't using it correctly, thinking about it correctly. It's on one hand kind of given the vibe of like a lot of people are looking at it and treating it like a potential quick fix when or like a shortcut when it's not. And if used correctly, it can be helpful. It can be a nice support. It can be something that can, like I said, help support in tandem with lifestyle habits, proper just use. But I also have my thoughts on like how easily it's spoken about and just thrown out nowadays. So I feel like this is going to be very beneficial for very very many people, for a lot of people, and for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited and yeah, I can't wait to dive in a little bit deeper. But to start off, a little bit of the science because I got to dive in with a little bit of the science. So, for those of you, if you have been living under a rock and you have no idea what the heck we're talking about or what Reddit is, or hearing me call it R3, basically it is a variation. I don't want to call it a third generation because that implies that a pharmaceutical has been altered or improved upon, and it's the same pharmaceutical. So that's not the proper term, but it is like a distant cousin of Ozempic or Manjaro. So Ozempic is the brand name, but we also know it as semaglutide, and that works on one pathway in the body that we call the GLP-1. Manjaro or tirzepatide works on two pathways, so it's a GLP-1 and a GIP, and R3 is working on three pathways, hence why we're calling it R3 in the body: GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon. In itself, it's doing what the other ones also do. It is going to affect your appetite and reduce it. It is going to slow your digestion down. It is going to give you better blood sugar regulation. And it is extremely powerful. So, yes, many individuals are seeing weight loss on it, but it's so much more than just take this shot, lose some weight, you're totally fine. We've learned that before in the other episodes that we did about some of these weight loss medications. So when I say that they are super powerful for weight loss, there's been a lot of early trial data showing that it is almost on par with bariatric surgery. Now, I do want to mention with that though, too, I have known several individuals that have gotten some variation of bariatric surgery and still gain that weight back because, like bariatric surgery, if you take R3, you have to have foundational lifestyle habits in place in order to keep that weight off and in order to enhance your health after using
For
it.
someone who doesn't know what the bariatric surgery is, can you give like a really quick, brief
Mhm.
summary of it?
Yeah, no, that's a good question.
Because I
So
know we know what it is, but
there's a couple different variations, and I'm not super well versed in the nitty-gritty details of all the different types just because that was never my specialty in surgery. But the biggest one that most people have probably heard of is like the gastric sleeve. Basically, think about your stomach is about the size of your fist anyway, give or take for certain individuals. And what this sleeve does is it will like kind of scoop up the top portion of the stomach and kind of turns it more into a sleeve. So you kind of lose this amount of volume. If anyone's watching on video right now, lose that and it turns into like
almost like a
a sleeve.
stem, like
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So it takes away a portion of your stomach.
yeah.
Um, and that way your stomach volume is actually smaller. So you get full faster and you can't eat as much food in one sitting. You can, but you're going to feel like absolute shit. You have high risk of rupturing the surgery if it was like just done. So these individuals, technically, it's like making your stomach smaller so you eat less food and lose the weight, which, you and I as coaches know you could also eat less food in a deficit, drink enough
Do more
water, walk
cardio.
some steps, and also lose the weight. That's not to shit on the surgery because for
No,
some individuals, it is actually a lifesaver and it's a wonderful option. But again, when it gets misused and there's not foundations in place and somebody's not willing to do the hard work to maintain that change, that's when we kind of see a little bit of a downfall.
for sure. Thank you for
Yeah.
explaining that.
Absolutely. Ooh, and one quick note on that note, anyone who has had bariatric surgery, if your doctor doesn't tell you this, shame on them. But because things are so much different internally afterwards, you should be taking a bariatric specific multivitamin because
Mm,
we'll see a lot of these individuals end up with nutrient deficiencies because they're eating less and they have less stomach volume to absorb those nutrients.
yeah, that makes
That
sense.
But back on topic, similar to R3, because your appetite decreases and you're not eating as much, we also do have to look out for potential nutrient deficiencies as well. Not because our stomach is smaller necessarily, but because we're eating less food, we are at a higher risk of not getting everything that we need. And then if we don't have the nutrients we need, are we making the hormones optimally that we need? Are
Yeah,
we enhancing health for when we're done taking the shot? Because the shot should not be indefinitely forever. Some people will argue that you can be on low dose R3 indefinitely. I'm not going to say yes or no either way because the bottom line is this is not legal. It's not legal. It's
yeah,
not legal yet. We don't have enough data. We don't have enough trials. We don't have enough evidence. Could it potentially be beneficial long-term microdose? It could, but I don't know that. And
yeah,
we don't have anything to support it, so I'm not going to confirm or deny anything with that. And then the last thing that I did kind of want to mention before we kind of dive into our own experiences, something that I mentioned to you, Sash, that I had been kind of hearing about and seeing. One of the guys that I did a mentorship with for functional health, who coaches a lot of bodybuilders, he's been taking his female athletes off of Reta and actually downgrading. I say downgrading, but like I should just say like moving them over to using tirzepatide instead because some of these female athletes have been showing like they are so sensitive or just so receptive to the mechanisms of action of the Reta that they were actually losing muscle mass
mm,
because it was so strong, no matter like how low the dose got. So I just think that's worth mentioning since I just said it's not or it's not legal and we don't have a lot of official papers or evidence on it yet. I think, with bodybuilders always kind of being the first people to be guinea pigs,
yeah,
if somebody is saying they're noticing a pattern or a trend, I'm going to pay attention to that.
yeah,
I mean, regardless of whatever peptide, pharmaceutical, drug, whatever, there's always going to be people that it's not going to affect the same way it would the majority of others. So just something to kind of keep in the back of your nuggets if you guys are curious about it.
Yeah, and I also want to say, like, I think it's worth mentioning that, and we've spoken about this on previous podcasts, like when it comes to certain supplements or when it comes to certain vitamins or when it literally something as simple as a vitamin, like, I believe that it is so different person to person on who should be taking what for how long. And I think there are a couple staples that we both agree on, like L-glutamine and creatine and fish oil that everyone could, and magnesium, everyone could and should be taking indefinitely. But then there are other things where it's like, all right, for example, and this is separate from like the Reta discussion, but I always think of when I was taking D3K2 and my vitamin D was very low. So we were trying to get it up and I was taking it every single day, the full dose. So like two capsules or whatever every single day. And by the time that I got my next blood work done, I mean, I was taking that. I also started including vitamin D in my food. I was also getting out in the sun more and like really, really conscious about like getting that in. My vitamin D was so fucking high
I
that we
remember.
had to drop it to not just one capsule, but it was one capsule every other day from like
Mhm.
two per day. So, and I say this because now I actually don't even take vitamin D anymore. I think I still take D3K2. I just so naturally throw it in my stacks that like I'm what I have is what I have. But I say that to say that I feel like it is so person to person dependent. Like you said, we don't know how something affects, especially right now with something like Retta, like not having as much research behind it. But if you really think about it, everything started with not having a lot of research behind it. So that
Mhm.
shouldn't be like a variable where it's like, oh, it's not FDA approved, like creatine isn't FDA approved, you know? So it's like,
Yeah.
let's, give that where give some grace over there, but even with that being said, that doesn't mean that every single person is a good candidate for something like Retta or even or trizepatides or any GLPs as is. Because, like you said, it's like every single supplement, every single add-on that you take, that is what it is. It is an add-on to the life that you already are living. And I think that that is like as we get into our personal experiences right now, that is something that I want to drive home and I want to drive it so far home because that's what drives me nuts on social media. It drives me nuts on social media when I see these girls who like they don't weight train, they don't lift heavy, they don't work out, they don't do the things, they don't track their food, they don't drink the water, they don't live the lifestyle, and they're like, I started taking this and now I eat like four blueberries a day. I'm like, yeah, good fucking luck, Charlie. Like that is not that's not its intended purpose. That's not what it should be being used for. The same way that we can say, like, let's say it's again, take that same girl who doesn't work out, who doesn't do those things, and she starts taking Anavar or she starts taking some sort of like steroid or something. It's not, you're not actually going to see the full potential of any of that if your life is not backing it up. And I've actually heard
Mhm.
a couple people speak about this before of like, oh, like this didn't work for me. And it's like, it's not that it didn't work for you, it's that you were not doing the other things that are required of you. It's not that it's not that the peptide didn't work for you. It's just that you weren't tracking your macros. You were still not eating enough. You weren't eating enough protein. You weren't taking care of yourself. You weren't doing the basics. And I feel like until someone could do the basics, they should not be dabbling into something like this. So like that's kind of where I'm going to preface anything and everything else that I'm going to say is if you can't show me that you could stick to the freaking basics, like there we have no conversation to have about peptides, about enhancements, about anything. Like the most that I'll tell you to do is take creatine. Like that's if you're drinking enough water because otherwise I'm so
Yeah.
bloated, I'm so this, I'm so that. You're not drinking enough water. So
Yeah.
like and I know that that's a little bit not exactly of what we were speaking about as far as like the Retta, but like that is my kind of like disclaimer of don't even think about it. Like don't even consider it if you can't check off all of your boxes for 6 months with no diversions.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree because it's the same concept. Like if you don't have that foundation in place, if you aren't eating enough food, because I think that's the biggest issue specifically with Retta that a lot of people are seeing, it's going to kill your appetite. It is. This thing is
Yeah.
much stronger than semaglutide. It's much stronger than tirzepatide. Like it is going to kill your appetite. And that like people think automatically, oh, that's great because now I'm not going to eat and lose weight. And like with all due respect, that is simpleton thinking because it is
Yeah.
so much more complex than that.
Yeah.
You need to eat to live.
Yeah.
Like, and especially if you're taking this to do some sort of like physique, like if you do want to, enhance your fitness and maybe lose a little body fat so you can show more muscle, or if you are a competitor and you want to use it, like how are we going to maintain that muscle if you're not eating? Hello? 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 Hmm? You got to eat. So eating, drinking enough water, because that's the other thing. Your hunger cue goes, your thirst cue is very similar to your hunger cue. So before I ask you, I'll just give this little ditty for my personal experience because I started microdosing Retta in preparation for my prep in February. I have drank over a gallon for the last, I don't even know, 7, 8 years. And I was struggling. Like I literally had to set alarms to be like, you got to drink. You have to eat. I was
Yeah.
like, I'll be honest. Initially, I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Like I can see from an athletic perspective the benefits. I definitely can if it's like utilized correctly. But as an individual, if I were not in this sport trying to take myself to the next level, I would not want anything to do with this,
Yeah.
to be totally honest. That's just my own perspective
No, I
for
agree.
me personally.
I agree. And that's why it scares me so much when I see people on social media who do not participate. And I'm not saying you have to be a competitive bodybuilder. You don't have to be a competitive bodybuilder if maybe have a certain physique goal or whatever I mean, I'm
And
kind
even
of torn.
bodybuilders, you don't have to take it either.
No,
You
no.
don't.
And like I'm kind of torn because I almost want to say like there are certain things that should be reserved only for people who pass like a certain test of like tracking food and this and that. Like if you can't do that, like you should not even be able to have access to those things because literally, like you said, when I was using a micro dose of it while I was in my prep, right? So it was the last month of my prep between I just got off of stage and then we decided to utilize it up until my next show just to be of a support. Like we were kind of on a crunch time over there. And I remember I was already eating like relatively low calories because I was 4 weeks out from my second show at this point. And like I was having a hard time finishing my food. Like really hard,
Yeah.
like to the point where I had to tell my coach, like, hey, like I'm having a really hard time and I love food. And I'm on top, like I am on top of my food. But if had I not been tracking my macros and like not known the importance of like getting in this protein and why are these carbs important and then my potassium and my sodium and my fiber and this and this and that, like had I just been doing it just to do it and like I would similarly
Mm.
not finish my meals or drink my water. Like I did because I understand the importance of it and would even feel some discomfort sometimes after that. And we knew when we had to like cut it essentially, or even
Mhm.
microdose the microdose because of how much it was affecting my appetite and my hunger and whatnot. And just like I started not feeling good about it just because of how much it was affecting me in that aspect. But yeah, I mean, had I not been a bodybuilder and not understood the importance of those things, like it would be very easy for me to be like, oh, okay, cool, like I'm just not gonna eat like haha, skinny. No, that's gross. That's actually gross.
Yeah. And it's very easy to unintentionally not eat. It's so easy to go about your day. And like
I
if
mean,
you,
when I'm busy with work, it's easy for me to go about
right.
my day and like not forget about a meal, but just like I'm supposed to have a meal in an hour, right? From now. And it's, after we finish this podcast, I'm gonna want to record some videos and then I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. And when it's time for me to eat my meal, I'll kind of like it's not like I'm waiting for my food, right? So it's like
Mhm.
even with the Retta, without the Retta, like when you're busy, you're just not always necessarily thinking about eating a meal. But like now imagine times 10 of that because
Right,
of the Retta.
right. And that's kind of like where that implication comes in where you can't, you shouldn't be using this
No.
if you're going to be like, oh, it's fine. I missed a meal today. And that rolls into the next day. Oh, I forgot lunch again. And then the next day, and it's like, you are really gambling with your health for a short term, like payoff per
Yeah.
se. This is still, if you're not eating enough, if you're not drinking enough, this is still going to affect your bone health. It is still going to affect your insulin. It is still going to affect your other hormones in your body. Like, I really implore people to think of the long term. And again, I'm not demonizing Reta and I'm not demonizing any other compounds. We've said it once and a million times, and I'll say it again. Like, we are pro informed consent. If
Yes.
you're gonna do what you're gonna do anyway, just be smart about it. Make sure
Yeah.
you understand what you are doing. And if you're okay with that, like,
Yeah, not to mention, like, I also just want to briefly add, like, I mentioned how I used it in between shows, and I am also using it, like, as I'm getting ready for my wedding prep and whatever the case may be. But before even considering the usage of Retta, before even considering the micro, anything along those lines, I did a cut without it, multiple cuts, might I add. I've learned I've been in the bodybuilding world for long enough to know that how important my meals are, how my body responds when I don't eat, how my strength is affected, how like I have seen my body go through all of this in the most like not in completely natural. And when I took that evidence, like when I took all of that research on myself, understood that about myself, and then later on decided like where I want to add something, where I want to try something, where whatever the case is, I had the backbone of like, all right, first I've done it without anything. Like I know I can lose weight without using Reta. I know I
Mhm.
can gain muscle without using enhancement. Like I know I can do those things without it because I've done it. And
Mhm.
like for years, for many years I've done it without anything. And that's kind of where I'm like, hey, like if you're a newbie in the gym, like, or if you've been tracking macros for 2 months, or if you just are getting your feet wet and you just hear about it everywhere and all of a sudden think that you need to be a part of this crowd, like you don't. You
Mhm.
don't. You first need to learn your body. You need to learn yourself. You need to go through the road naturally. You need to do it the hard route, right? Like, I mean, it is still the hard route with taking any peptides, add-ons, anything along those lines. But like, I just feel like less people care about the process and more about the result. And something like like Retta can be easily used to speed up the process and get to the result without actually paying attention to the process. And granted, there are people, you, me, all the other competitors that we know, all the other athletes and bodybuilders that we know that are dabbling into peptides, enhancements, whatever the case is, that are love the process and continue working hard and like they're doing it for the process, not necessarily for the result. Like there is a result that they want to achieve, but like we love the process so much, like that's why we do what we do. But I feel like that's kind of where the problem arises of like, are you doing it because you want a fast pace and get quicker to the result and you're willing to like tank other parts of your body and just like tank yourself? Or are you loving the process, have done the process without these things, and now wanna see where you can improve, see where you can implement additional support, whatever the case may be. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense to me for sure. It's not, it's like, to add on to that, I would say if you throw yourself into the process first and get to know your body, you're going to feel like a million times more confident with
Yeah.
anything that you choose as
Yeah.
like an ancillary after that. But if
Yeah.
you don't know your body, you don't have that confident feedback to understand how it's truly affecting you. And if you're somebody that is chasing that end result versus like this is a lifestyle that needs to be down first, you are going to be just as disappointed as the people in the 90s were that found out that Slim Fast wasn't going to get them to lose 60 pounds, or that found out that Oxy Shred was
Yeah.
not the thing that was going to like really take stuff home. Like, there are no quick fixes here, no matter how powerful of a compound or a peptide or whatever we have here. There is always going to be something. I don't want to say like there's a dire consequence, but if you're not using it correctly, yes.
There will be.
Why do you think even FDA approved medications come with warning labels with tiny print? Because they're not inherently riskless. There's always
Yeah.
going to be some risk.
Yeah.
How's your poop?
It's okay. I mean,
You like didn't even bat an eye. I love it.
it's
You're like, here she
okay.
goes again.
Here she goes with the poop. I mean, have I heard of people having problems with digestion from Reta? Yeah, absolutely. From like a little bit of gas to like not so great poop. My body more so is sensitive to the the actual like appetite portion, like appetite
Mhm.
portion of it, of just like I eat because I know I need to eat a meal and because I have meal timings and I stick to my meal timings. But I can't complain about
That's good.
things that other people necessarily complain about, but I also will say that I am on like the micro dose because of how sensitive my appetite is.
But I mean, I would
So it's
argue that
like,
that's the way to do it any
yeah. So it's like,
way.
am I even? I don't even think that this is like a known percentage of like
Yeah.
how much you know what I mean. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of like I'm not even really on it at all. No, I'm joking. But but
Yeah, no, for people listening, the reason I ask Sasha that is she's probably going to be like, why?
yeah, seriously.
It
Like
just popped into my
did we
head.
really have to get poop into this conversation too? It's like every time, Mandy.
Always, always. Okay, poop queen. Okay, but
I'm gonna get you a poop emoji pillow for your birthday. That's what I'm gonna get you.
I will love it forever.
I'm sure.
Guys, I'm not that weird, I swear. But it's just it's an important part of functioning. And that's why I bring it up, because you have everything in place with your lifestyle. So your digestion is not being affected negatively as far as motility. And when I say motility, I mean like how efficiently like food's going in and coming out.
Yeah.
But if you don't have those things in place, again, that's where people commonly will complain about their bowel movements not being so great when they do use R3. You
Mm,
can see changes. And again, if you don't have the confidence and understand how your body works, you might not know how to interpret
yeah.
that body response and alter what you're doing.
Which is really interesting that you said that because, for example, you know how like people, it's like a common thing, like 25 grams of fiber is the minimum a day. For me, it's more like 33 to 35. Like if I have less than that, like with anything like just like complete like just like normal day-to-day life, like no Retta, like take that out of the picture, just like regular day-to-day life, if I have anything less than like 33 grams of fiber a day, like I won't be going to the bathroom usually like regularly. As other people it's like 25 grams, perfect, every day pooping, good, awesome. For me, I know I need more, so it's like when we started like the
Mhm.
conversational phases of adding this in and how long we're going to have it in for, how much we're going to be using, whatever the case is. One of the first things that I did, like my coach, she knows that I know my body very well. And like I tell her these things, obviously, but she also knows that I'm a coach and like I understand this. First thing that I did, my fiber is up. I am currently, I'll tell you what my daily
Oh,
fiber, I think
guys, she gonna flex on us. You're gonna get flexed.
my daily fiber right now is 38. I'm having 38 grams of fiber a day. And that's like through the board. Even on my very low days, like on my low days, because I have two low days a week, I'm at 33. And that's like we don't go lower. I've even had certain days when I hit 41, 39, 41, 41 because I had an apple that day instead of a tangerine. Um, but I say that because I already knew that that could be something like that Reta could affect that. So for me, it was immediately before I even started, I already got my fiber goal, my fiber higher.
Hmm.
So I was hitting my fiber. I'm a freak. I track my sodium, I track my potassium, I track, I mean, fiber, everyone should be tracking fiber, but sodium and potassium I also track because that plays a really big role for me. I'm very sensitive to like as far as my recovery, my muscle recovery, like all of that kind of stuff. So I'm very, very specific about tracking that too. And I know that that's something that we spoke about that Reta could affect because if you aren't eating enough, you're not getting enough protein, you're not getting enough nutrients, you're not getting enough this, enough that, training goes down, recovery goes down, energy will go down. So making sure that you have those things in place even beforehand, it's like not only are you going to be starting in a way better place, like we didn't start taking it because we absolutely needed it. Like we
Hmm.
started taking it as a support, as a boost, as an add-on, as a very controlled add-on and very intentional. Like it wasn't like, oh, I'm taking this because I have to lose 20 pounds in the next 4 weeks. Like, no, that was not the goal or the mindset or the approach at all. It was more so of like, let's intentionally add this in, see how our body responds, make sure that we, as always, check off all of our boxes and go from there.
Yeah.
So,
And
like the comment, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but like the common theme here is that if you are not living the lifestyle, if you are not doing the day-to-day things, and I will keep going in on this, if you are not doing those day-to-day things, you have no business dabbling in anything else.
mhm.
No business. You're only going to set an unreal, like you don't even know your potential. And like I had the same approach towards like anabolics and enhancements and stuff when I was first even thinking about it or having thoughts. It's like I don't feel like I didn't at the time feel like I even came close to what my potential could be. Like I was like, I don't feel confident in taking anything because I'm like I haven't even unlocked 40% of my potential yet. So like let me at least get, to 80, 90% of
Mhm.
it. Let me do everything that I can myself. Let me make sure that not a single fucking stone goes unturned and see what I can do with my actual body before I include anything else. And that's what the problem now is people won't do that and they will just jump the gun to include something.
There's something I want to add that you mentioned because, the way we are utilizing it even as athletes, like when we're in prep, you specifically called it like an add-on or a help, and like that's truly what it is, because at the end of the day, if you are an athlete, you know how to do a deficit and you know how to lose body weight. You don't need this
Yeah.
to help you lose body weight. And if you are using this to lose 3 pounds a week, 4 pounds a week, like hello, knock knock, it's me with a reality check, because now we're losing muscle. You
Yeah.
don't want to lose that much body weight every single
It's
week.
it's not a flex.
No, it's detrimental to the end goal. I would say if you're in the athletic space specifically, but even if you are lifestyle using it, we need muscle for longevity and health. So while this is an amazing compound with like the research that they have done so far is really, really promising. And I have a suspicion, I think I heard something that like Lilly is probably going to get
Oh,
this
yes, I've seen that. I've
pat,
seen that.
patented, there we go, and probably maybe release it as an actual like pharmaceutical maybe next year or the year after that. So like that is in process, but where it stands right now, guys, it is still illegal, and you still need to understand what you're doing. And if you do start it, until they create those papers and they have the evidence that it's safe long term, because remember, this was made very recently. This has not been like semaglutide. That's been around. We've known about that. It's just became very popular
Popular.
recently. But like this is a very, very new thing. we don't have those long-term research yet to say it is safe for an extended time. So anytime you do start this, I would say my professional opinion, even though this is not medical advice, is you should always have a taper off plan before you even start. This is
Yes.
a good talk. I'm gonna wrap it up here, or else we're just gonna just keep going at it. But thank you for joining me today on
Yes. Thank
this.
you for such a good topic.
Yeah, thank you for not beating me about poop because I do think it's so important. Um,
Everyone drop 15 poop emojis for Mandy, and then 15 more, and then DM her a poop emoji,
I just like to know that everyone's detox pathways are working efficiently.
which is very important.
Hashtag
Like,
functional
damn,
health.
you have it's like we can literally be talking about like how's the weather today in Chicago? You'll be like, it's great. And I also took a good poop. Like, all right, Mandy. I'm like,
Go.
okay.
Guys, if you are listening, thank you so much for sticking with us. Please give us a thumbs up on YouTube, rate 5 stars on Spotify, and bounce on over to the Sculpt sessions with Sasha every single Sunday and check out her podcast. We will
Yeah.
catch you guys on the next one every single Monday.